Austin, we appreciate the time as always, and there's also been a court case to follow and to cover. You've been covering that. On Friday, there was news that Tennessee hoped for, and I think anticipated, right? They got a ruling that they felt pretty good about, but since that came on Friday, the injunction from Judge Corker, do you think over at Tennessee there is a better feeling having that part of it at least behind them and they can focus more on business as usual at Tennessee? What do you think the reaction's been?
Oh, I think it's, they've obviously been thrilled with the Corker decision from even though it's not the university against the NCAA, it was the state of Tennessee. It still, I think, has an impact on any kind of NCAA investigation, any kind of potential notice of allegations. All that stuff, I think, works in Tennessee's favor. And so, I think people on campus have been quietly very pleased. And, I think, you look at kind of the leadership at the top, Dondi Plowman obviously coming out, doing her thing, Randy Boyd, Danny White, they've been in lockstep, and, they just pushed back. When the NCAA pushed on them, they pushed back, and I think that the NCAA was not ready for that, and we'll see if a notice of allegations ever comes. I've talked to multiple people, and they nobody feels like it's coming anytime soon, if it comes at all. And when you look at, kind of the decision by Judge Corker, it's not surprising to see that, he kind of went that route just based off of, the fact that the NCAA attorney kind of fumbled, kind of his thoughts on, whether a player or prospect could meet with a collective about a potential deal ahead of a decision. And, I thought, again, we talked about this last week, I thought the lawyer for, the Tennessee AG knocked it out of the park with the NCAA basketball analogy, talking about, the TV network deals. I thought that he hit a home run there, and clearly Judge Corker thought the same.
AP Sims, Darrell Sims, and William Inge officially announced by Tennessee as new assistant coaches. Any idea of some of the targets that they have identified at the linebacker and at the running back position so far during their short time as assistant coaches here at Tennessee?
Well, I think, in some ways they'll pick up where kind of the last coaches left off in terms of the targets. Like Jaden Harmon from Rome, Georgia is right in the footprint, as a linebacker. That's going to be something, somebody that Tennessee is heavily involved with. William Inge already reaching out. When you look at Darrell Sims, you look at Marquise Davis, you look at Donovan Johnson at IMG, you look at Jordan Davison, you look at the kid down at Chattanooga Baylor. Obviously just some different looking players that Tennessee's been on before, and now they're just adjusting to a new coach at Tennessee recruiting them.
And I ask that, Austin, because sometimes, a coach might have a preference or may think a player is good, but maybe a different coach may not see those same qualities in that player. So it's good to hear that players who are on the board or were on the board with the previous assistant coaches, these guys feel like they're good players too. So that means they're really, really good players, because most good players are identified by good coaches as being good players. So that's good.
Yeah, 100%. And in some instances, like the kid from Baylor, Darrell Sims was already recruiting him at Cincinnati. So, I think anytime you can kind of intertwine a little bit, I think it makes things easier, just because there's already a pre-existing relationship.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. Austin, we are about to enter the month of March. Should we do any kind of over-under with the 2025 class in terms of commitments between now and April 1st? Is there a commitment number to watch in the next 30-ish days?
I could see Tennessee getting somebody in the next 30 days. I think potentially April is more the month that Tennessee could have a little bit of success. But with all these kids coming to campus in March for spring practice, I think that's where you start to see, somebody kind of get the feels a little bit and want to jump in the boat. So wouldn't surprise me if somebody committed in the next 30 days. But I would say after that, it's probably more likely to see as far as like any kind of run.
How's my man Bru McCoy doing with his rehab? Bru.
He's doing great. Ahead of schedule. Has been, again, I think it goes back to, Bru's kind of physical makeup, his mental makeup, and then the fact that, his parents were able to get him in with one of the top ankle and foot doctors in the United States. And that, I think, put him ahead of pace. And, again, the work ethic's never been questioned with him. So I think it's a big a big step in the right direction for Bru in an effort to, I'd say just be active this spring. He ain't going to be on the practice field, I don't believe, but, be active this spring and, be full go come August.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. What do you think the wide receiver position group will look like in the spring? What will that competition look like with Brazel coming in as a transfer, two talented freshmen that I think they feel really good about with the spring as well, but that overall group as it looks to bounce back from 2023?
Well, I thought really Tennessee played last year was, I thought, such a shell of, the athleticism that they had the year before at the wide receiver spot. But I think that group's got a chance to be a really improved group in 2024. Just look from an athleticism standpoint. Brazel comes in with a lot of potential, a lot of hope. Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, the same. I think Dante Thornton is a guy that people are sleeping on. I'm not predicting him to be like all SEC or anything. I think people forget about him because it's easy to get excited about the new guys or the transfers. He was starting to come into his own at the last year when they moved him outside exclusively before he got hurt. What does he look like? Because I just think that he just adds to the athleticism of the group. It's a deeper group, a more athletic group, a group that kind of has some experience and then some kind of youth and inexperience. But, I think Kelsey Pope's got himself a room that he's really happy with heading into spring practice.
By the way, Austin, before you go with spring practice coming up here soon, you mentioned they'll get guys on campus. What does March look like in terms of how active they'll be, how busy they will be bringing prospects to campus coming up in March?
Well, March 23rd is going to be the big day. Like, that's going to be a day where you got George McIntyre and a lot of those targets or commits will be in town, potentially David Sanders. Jamie French is coming in April 6th, wide receiver from down in Jacksonville. But that's going to be kind of that big weekend, the 23rd. But there are going to be players here next week when things open back up. It won't be any kind of junior day. It'll just be, kids stopping in, taking visits. And then really, once things get back going from spring ball or from spring break, I think you'll see, a lot of kids in, almost nearly every day at the end of the month.
Does George McIntyre have a place here yet? As many trips as he'll probably take to try to help with recruiting?
Hardin Valley. Next to Farragut. Out that way.
He does not have a place yet. I'm sure he doesn't. His parents may.
He can get NIL, so why not?
Preliminary NIL.
He can have a place.
Yeah. I kid, of course. By the way, on 3 with a piece this week, Charles Power, number 12 overall player, number 2 quarterback in the class. So you can read about that with George McIntyre. What else would you encourage people to check out if they go to Volquest right now, Austin?
Just all the basketball coverage. Tennessee's got obviously a massive basketball game tonight. You win this one, and then if you can find a way to sweep this week, I think Tennessee wins the regular season. Because I think they'll have tiebreakers over everybody. These 2 games this week against Auburn at home and Alabama on the road are massive. But it all starts tonight. And Grant Ramey and Rob Lewis have you covered on that. Eric Kane's got the baseball coverage, all covered up, and of course Matt Ray is crushing it in recruiting. So we got a great team, and that's all led by one Brent Hubbs, and so we encourage everybody to get over there and check us out and just come over and just talk ball with us. We can talk ball, we can talk favorite fast food places, whatever you guys want to talk about. We'll talk about it on the general's quarters.
Hubs is the GOAT, and AP, baby GOAT. You the GOAT too, man.
Buddy, I'm just happy to be surrounded by a bunch of quality dudes. That's all I can say.
Volquest.com, that's where you can find the work from all of them. Austin, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys.